Hello and welcome to Introduction to Java Programming. This is the second episode of the series. We will talking about the communication between a developer and the computer system. So we talk about like if two parties need to communicate, they need a common language to understand each other. Like if I say Sanga chalde, you might not be able to understand it. But if I say how are you, so you might respond because you understand the language. Similarly, scientists and engineers build couple of programming languages which are a common way of communication between a developer and a compiler. So these languages are not exactly the machine code, they are basically a high level which are more close to English instead of more close to machine. The developer writes all these instructions, this code in an editor called integrated development environment. There are multiple IDEs, multiple editors. You can choose whatever best suits you. And we will look at one example in this episode as well. So when developer write their code, then they compiler basically read that human readable code and transform it to machine readable code so that a machine can read that code. And machine only understands zeros and ones and that's it. So the compiler read all the instructions, transform them into zeros and one, so machine code, and then this machine code is executed on a hardware or motherboard or whatever it is with the help of CPU. Then it can control sound system, it can control mic, it can print something on the screen, it can read input from the keyboard. So all these things are possible when our code is running on hardware, and hardware or the computer understand the machine code that is in 0 and 1. Okay, so every language has a syntax and you have to follow syntax in order for others to understand what you are trying to say. Even though you know all the keyword, everything, but you have to put the keywords, the words in the proper place and in order for other to understand. Like in English language, subjects come first and objects come in the last and verb comes in the middle. So I play cricket, cricket play I cricket. All these sentences might not make sense, but as humans are smarter, they are intelligent, so they might be able to understand what you are trying to say. But if it's a complex syntax, it's a longer one, then that may not make sense. But computer only understand what we tell them, and if we change it, they won't be able to understand it. So we have to follow the syntax. So this is the minimum code that is required to run a Java program, right? It's a bit unfortunate you need to write a lot of code in order to just print single string, but you don't have to worry about it. So Java needs a starting point. A Java program need a starting point. Similarly, other programming languages also need a starting point. And in some languages it might be the first line, in some languages it could be a method. So in specific case of Java, program need a method to start the main program. It should fulfill following condition. Name should be main, like here. Its return type should be void. It should accept string array argument as argument, and its access should be public, and the type should be static. So this is the minimum required for a Java program to run. Okay, you are still confused? Don't worry, you don't need to memorize them for now. You just have to copy paste them whenever you want to use them. With the passage of time, we're gonna learn all these things. This is the minimum code that is required. The Java program will look at will try to find a method with the name of main with all these signatures. So exact signature, it will find this program and start executing code from this method. And as you know, Java is an object-oriented programming, so this method cannot exist without a class. So everything exists within a class, so that's why we have created a class here as well. Again, don't worry about the syntax and all these things, because this is something you will copy paste again and again for a couple of exercises, and then the time will come when you start understanding this code or whatever written is here. Okay, so first instruction that we need to learn is how to print something on the screen. So as I explained that we are using Java programming language, it's more close to English. So here we are telling the system to output or print a string on the screen. So here we are printing a message hello world on the screen. So this is a simple syntax that you have to remember. Yeah, so you have to keep this in mind and you have to remember this one, and you can forget the previous one. If I have to print two lines, I would use system.out.println hello here, and another one how are you. So the output will be here hello how are you. Okay, now if you remember from the first episode, we created a small program. We actually written a small program on a notepad, like if we have to fulfill our test. So what we have to do is follow these steps. Stand up, go to the kitchen, fill a glass of water, sit and drink. So this is a simple program, a static program. It does nothing specifically, it just print the steps. It's not actually performing them, it's just printing the step, a string message on the screen. So here is the output. For every line system.out.println, there is a printed message on the screen. So this is source code, this is the output. The compiler will read this code from, compiler will try to find this method, then execute this line, then it will execute this line, then it will execute this line, and it's keep on going, right? Okay, so here it has this output. I would request here, like, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, share with your friend, it might help other. Let's look at the comments. So whenever in a program we want that to skip a certain instruction, certain line, a certain code, so we put two front slashes in front of that line. This means that the compiler will skip this line. Also we skipped here another line and we put two front slashes. You can see here the output, it's printed first, third and fifth line and skipped second and fourth line, right? So it's simple. This is the input, or this is the source code, this is the output. Okay, so let's look at the editor. That's one of the editor, Ripple IT. Here this is Ripple IT website. It provides you an online editor to write code and to execute the code to see the output. Let's click on the new. As we are learning Java, so we'll select Java and click on create button. It will load the editor. So here the important aspects are, this is your file name, so your code is within a Java file, so it has Java extension. Here is the editor where you will write your code, and here is the output. So when this program runs, it will output something. So let's run this program. As soon as I click on run, the compiler will read this code and then it transform into machine code. Then the machine code will be executed on some system, some hardware, and then it will output the result of these instruction on the screen. So yeah, let's wait for this. So here we can see the output hello world. Let's change this output and we write our own program. Okay, so I will change it, twinkle twinkle right? And I'll print system.out.println. This is the instruction you have to remember when you have to print something. Little star. Okay, and let's copy and paste. Twinkle twinkle little star, how I wonder. Okay, so let's run this program. Okay, here we can see 3 lines because we wrote the code with 3 instructions, and here is the 3 output. Again, you don't have to remember this code, you just have to remember this syntax. So let's comment this line and see what will be the impact here. Let's run it. See, here we skipped this line, so the compiler didn't printed this specific line, so it was twinkle twinkle how I wonder. So that's how we learn our first instruction to print something on the screen. Here we are only printing string values. That's all for today. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.